Welcome back to another YouTube video by the FPL Draft Duo. We are a duo who are dedicated to the FPL draft mode. We put out a weekly podcast where we go through tips and tricks, trade dilemmas and waivers to help you win at the draft. If you aren't already following us on social media, please do so you can keep up to date with everything that changes on the FPL draft day to day, and we would really appreciate a subscribe on the YouTube. The Game Week 20 waiver of the week was Estupinan. He got a clean sheet against West Ham. He continues to be an unbelievable pick from now until the end of the season. Our Game Week 20 punt of the week was Alanga, who got another return against Manchester United and continues to be a good pick for the foreseeable. Straight onto our Game Week 21 waivers, but we go through a lot of players in depth on our podcast. This includes many players that were going to the AFCON and the Asian Cup. If you're looking for more in-detail analysis on which players are leaving and their replacements, give this week's podcast a listen. Our first defender on this week's waivers is Moreno. Moreno is going to be a good pick as Luca Digne is currently injured and is heavily linked with a move away from Villa in this transfer window. And even if he doesn't move, we believe that Moreno has a great chance at taking his spot. Next up are two Brighton boys. Brighton recently kept their first clean sheet of the season against West Ham, and hopefully there's more to come. They have an insane run of fixtures for the next 8 games, 7 of them are rated 2 on the FDR. Van Hecke and Dunk are our picks that are possibly on the waiver. Although Dunk didn't play the last Premier League game, he is poised to come back and Van Hecke is more than likely on the waiver. Although they're not great defensively, if you play them for the majority of these fixtures, there's a high possibility of getting some clean sheets in there. So although they mightn't be too exciting, they're nice long-term holds that you can play on a rotation basis. Next up were Brighton's opponents in Game Week 20. West Ham have been seriously good at the back in the last 4 games and have kept 4 clean sheets after previously being very poor defensively. Unfortunately, Aguerd is going to the AFCON, which will change West Ham's defence slightly. But Zuma should come back into that team after having some personal issues, and he will be a good pick for the next 2 games where they play Sheffield and Bournemouth. Emerson has been a stalwart all season and gets up the pitch, so he's going to be the top pick for one of those West Ham defenders. There is a possibility that Soufal might be carrying an injury, therefore Ben Johnson could be a shout, but Zuma and Emerson are our 2 picks for the next 2 games for West Ham. If you're looking for an attacking fullback over a short period of time, Castagna could be a good option. Fulham play Everton, Burnley and Bournemouth all in a row from 22 to 24. He's more than likely going to be on the waiver as he's been rotated, but we fully expect him to play those 3 games. Looking back at the Arsenal goal against Fulham, Castagna was actually caught very far up the pitch, which shows the positions that he likes to get into. If he continues to do this, returns are inevitably going to come. If Fulham managed to keep 1 or 2 clean sheets in that run, he could be on for some hauls. Moving on to a 1-week punt who may still be available. Dowie has performed brilliantly over the last 3 game weeks, getting 4 returns. He plays Burnley away in Game Week 21, and if he's still available, I think he could be a great punt for 1 week. He's on corners and free kicks, so he has many routes to points, even if Luton concede. Our last 2 suggestions on the Game Week 21 defenders are 2 players that are returning from injury. Van de Ven and Chilwell are expected to be back in the squad for Game Week 21, although they might not feature. Chilwell especially could be worth picking up early. He's a very attacking fullback, and I think Pochettino will prefer him at left wing back when he comes back. On the other hand, Van de Ven will slot back into that Spurs side, but they aren't as good defensively, and the most attacking players are Udogie and Porro, therefore leaving him slightly reserved in that backline. If you wanted to pick them up early, Chilwell more so will be a good pick this week. Van de Ven, although he plays for a top side, he might not be the best option, and going for one of the other suggested players might be a better way to get more points. In our midfield waiver suggestions for Game Week 21, we have 2 1-week punts in Brentford players. Lewis Potter will hopefully be preferred at left wing after playing very well in the last 2 or 3 game weeks. He has returned twice in the last 3 game weeks, and hopefully with the return of Ivan Toney, that will help bump his numbers up. Another good option could be Jensen. He scored 3 goals and had 3 assists this season. He's had a long layoff with injury, but should be back in the team against Forest. The issue with the Brentford players is that they have a very tough run of fixtures after that game week 21 fixture. They play Spurs, City, Wolves and Liverpool, so maybe they're just worth picking up for the 1 week against Forest, who have a lot of players gone to the AFCON. Next on our short-term punts for midfielders is Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley has played very well for Luton over the past couple of games and last week got a return against Chelsea. They play Burnley away this week, and if you're looking for a punt in a larger size league, Ross Barkley should go under the radar. He's probably going to be available on most waivers, and if you're looking for someone, if you have an injured player, possibly on the free agent, Ross Barkley could be a good pickup. Next up on the waiver suggestions, maybe a bit of a longer term hold. Kai Havertz has gone under the radar with 4 goals this season. He's also started 13 games of the 19 games in the Premier League and has got a lot more minutes recently. Arsenal do have a couple of injuries as well as some players gone to the AFCON. Therefore, over the next 2 games, Havertz is bound to get minutes against Palace and Forest. He has played in a more advanced role at times, but we believe another Arsenal player will get the nod this week. Giovanni Lo Celso is in line to get a lot more minutes over the next couple of game weeks due to the omissions from the Spurs squad. Maddison is yet to come back from injury, as well as Sarr, Bissouma and Son all gone on international duty. Lo Celso picked up 2 assists and has probably played his way into the Spurs sides for the next couple of game weeks. United, Brentford, Everton and Brighton don't look great on paper, but a lot of those teams are likely to concede. Spurs have added Werner to their books, which may actually give competition to Lo Celso, but hopefully that can actually help his output. It's going to be up in the air whether Werner is going to be on the waivers before this game week's deadline, but if he is, he's definitely worth a fun little pickup. Final player in our game week 21 midfielders is Ben Rama of West Ham. Again, this is influenced by the omissions due to international duty and some injuries. Bowen has picked up an injury, might be available for the Sheffield game, but Kudus and Paqueta are more than likely going to be out. Kudus is away on international duty and Paqueta has picked up back-to-back injuries, which makes me think he's going to be out for Sheffield. If Ben Rama plays the majority of both of these games, he's going to be a fun little pickup for those 2 fixtures and hopefully he can get some returns. Finally, on to our forwards for game week 21. As we know, the big man Ivan Toney is back. He's more than likely taken off most waivers, but if he's still available, get him in now. Brentford have a very tough run of fixtures, but we believe Toney will be back with a vengeance. Maybe getting a trade over the line might be a good option, while his ability is still unknown. If we're looking at 2 lower level strikers, Nketiah could be a good 1 week punt. He's that Arsenal attacker that might play in that advanced role because of Jesus' injury and the lack of goals Arsenal have scored. If you're looking for a longer term hold, Broja might be good for the next 2 or 3 game weeks. Nkunku has picked up another injury, which means he might be out for the next couple of game weeks, and Jackson is gone on international duty. Although Broja hasn't been very good for Chelsea this season, this is a good opportunity for him to prove himself. If you have an injured striker or a non-playing striker, it's going to be a good short-term punt. As I said, it's up in the air whether Werner is going to be in the game and whether he's going to be a forward or midfielder. If he's in the game, I still think he's going to be a very good pickup for the next couple of game weeks, and depending on his form, he could be long-term. Thanks as always for watching and listening. Please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and leave a like. If you're looking for more in-detail descriptions of all of these players, our weekly podcast comes out on a Tuesday and we go in-depth on all of our waivers. Again, if you're not following on social media, hit that follow button. Thank you very much for listening and we will catch you next week.